Welcome to Safeword by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Safeword is a podcast made by the Fear and Greed team responsible for Australia's most popular business podcast. It's our lighter take on the business world, or anything else that comes to mind, really. As always, I'm joined by my colleagues from Fear and Greed. First up this week, I'm going to introduce Michael Thompson, Mickey T. He's a competitive bugger, Mickey T, who apart from being called snarky by his partner, is generally a pretty happy chappy. He's always at his best when starting a podcast. If he can make it through the first 5 or 6 words, we're generally okay. But I'd say 50% of the time, he always fumbles on those first couple of words. Let's see how he goes. Mickey T, good morning.
Good morning, Sean. I'm generally
Hold on, you
okay.
just said I 4 times then, yeah.
I build myself up too much. I think I like to start with a lot of energy and sometimes it just overflows. Carry on.
Is that the safe word for the day? Overflow?
Adam, we haven't introduced you yet. You can't talk yet.
Sorry.
Back in your box.
I never get to go first. This is actually a bit of a novelty. It usually goes Sean, then Adam, then me. And so, hey, I'm enjoying this. I feel like there's been a shift in the power dynamic here.
No, we just feel sorry for you. Look, but Adam, I did mention you because you are the third of the trio, of course. Adamski's affliction when it comes to audio, though I don't want to harp on this, of course, Adam, is the need to ever so slightly clear your throat before talking. I don't even know whether you realise it, that you do it, but the podcast never lies. Good morning, Adamski.
Good morning, Sean.
You did your best not to then, didn't you?
I did. I'm also trying to be brief.
Oh.
Another one of my challenges, apparently.
Just so you know, Adam, as the person who often will edit this particular podcast, and Sean, it's even more frequent than you made out. It is, and I remove your little throat clears, and this feels like we're picking on you unnecessarily, but it's pretty much before every sentence, and sometimes mid-sentence, sometimes mid-word even. Just suddenly get this little
Gosh.
It feels like you're interrupting yourself to make a point.
Yeah. I don't want to harp on this, Adamski, because we don't want to be negative towards you.
However.
But now we're talking about it.
I'm sensing some floodgates have just opened.
No, it is a funny thing, that sort of throat clearing. You guys have worked in radio for many, many years. And, you off air, you've told some great stories about famous broadcasters clearing their throat without any thought for anyone around them.
Right into the microphone.
Lovely.
Blasting headphones around them at the time. Yep.
But do you realise you do that, Adam?
No.
It's hurting you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is actually hurting you to not clear your throat right now.
This is feedback, right? And I've got to accept it. And so I will process
it's not negative.
this.
It's not negative. If you want to cough and hack and splutter, that's fine.
I think it'd be true to say it's constructive, though. Wouldn't you?
Everything we say is meant to be constructive. Now,
in the best possible way.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't come out that way. I understand that, and we do apologise. Michael and I, I'm sure, Michael, you're with me on this one. We apologise when we found that we just harpooning you, Adam. But it is meant to be constructive.
Sometimes from a distance, sometimes quite close up.
Yeah, I don't know whether I intend it to be constructive a lot of the time. Some of it is just you see an opening and you go for it. Yeah. And you're just like, you know what, something has to be said here, and so we go for it. Anyway.
Let's move on. Feedback. Michael, do we have any listener feedback?
We do. A fear and greeter by the name of Jimmy. And it sounds like I'm making up these names.
Yeah.
Like
or you, Jimmy. Yeah. No, you wouldn't be making that up. Surely not.
No, this is and if you want to check it out, you can head to Fear and Greed. And this is actually a recommendation. You know how I should never start a sentence talking about technology to the two of you with a line, you know how, because typically you probably don't know how. But on Facebook, you can actually provide a recommendation. It goes beyond kind of just liking something or following something. You can actually recommend it as a business and recommend it to other people. And so Jimmy has done this, recommending Fear and Greed. And he's described himself as a daily listener. So I think he listens across the full suite of Fear and Greed podcasts.
Go on, Jimmy.
And he says, these guys are by far the most interesting, educational, and entertaining business podcast I've come across. These guys work well individually and exceptionally as a group. 3 very different personalities that are like different ingredients in a cake. It just works and well.
Yeah, sometimes we overcook it.
Yes.
Sometimes we undercook it for that matter.
Sometimes there's too much salt in the caramel.
And sometimes Adam is a little bit like, actually both of you, a little bit like nuts. Nuts in a cake.
Nuts.
It's just like nuts do not belong in cakes. They do not belong in chocolate. They do not belong in most things.
Oh, no, hold on.
Crazy
Carrot cake.
talk.
Carrot cake with nuts. Walnuts and carrot cake.
What about almond meal as an ingredient?
Ah, spectacular.
Hang on.
What?
Stop. Did you say walnuts in carrot cake?
Yes.
Totally.
Number 1. Okay, carrot cake is nice, but not with walnuts. Nothing could aid you more than saying, I love a carrot cake with walnuts. It sounds like you're just baking stuff from the Depression.
I actually don't know where to go with that.
Okay, so walnuts are depression.
Your ignorance when it comes to baking is just astounding.
And just what a confined palate.
Are we just talking flour,
Open
sugar,
up, Michael.
eggs, bit of water,
Thin gruel.
bicarbonate soda? What's that thing called? I can't remember.
Yeah.
All you need to do is add a nut into something and it just
One.
ruins it. Yep, a singular nut.
Show it to the cake.
What about the
it's
macadamia?
gone.
Surely you've got to like the macadamia. Not necessarily in the carrot cake. That would be
Cashew.
walnut. But if we're talking nuts here, there must be some sort of nut.
Yeah, can
You know,
squeak in there.
everyone loves macadamia nuts. Michael?
Yeah. But they do not belong in most baking.
Most.
But what about like a macadamia crusted salmon? So you bake the salmon.
Oh, okay. Now you are stretching it. The definition of baking to bake a fish, therefore it is now baking. I don't think you're going to see anyone cooking a salmon on the Great British Bake Off.
So anyway, we digress. Let's get back to Jimmy.
Yeah. So yes, thank you, Jimmy. We are like a cake.
Sometimes ingredients don't mix.
Sometimes they do mix, but it's very nice of you, Jimmy, individually and as a team. It's a funny word for us three, a team. That's lovely, Jimmy. Now, safe word. We need a safe word. And, we could have a phrase like throat clearing, for example.
Uh-huh.
Or macadamia.
Overflow.
Overflow. Where did that come from?
Well, Michael bridling with over-enthusiasm before the podcast begins.
Over-enthusiasm.
Overflows in too many words.
Burst forth. Burst forth is kind of biblical. I quite like that phrase.
Right.
Burst forth. It's not going to work as a safe word.
I like various types of nuts. Take your pick.
So what? Can we just keep going on the nuts thing? We'll come to a safe word here, I'm sure. So to me, macadamia is at the absolute top of the nut tree.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Roasted,
Okay.
salted macadamias. You are not going to get anything better. They just don't belong in baking. We've established that, but we'll move on from the
So
baking
just park
part.
that. We disagree
Yep.
with that.
Yep.
But just the actual nut. So the roasted, salted macadamia at the very, very top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down the bottom is probably the straight walnut or something of that ilk.
No.
Gotta say. Somewhere up the top there, the cashews, the almonds.
Yep.
They're sort of, remember Barack Obama famously only had 3 or 4 almonds every day. He was so disciplined. That's just what he did. So you have the almonds and the cashews out there. Then you're sort of coming down to the peanuts, that style of product. And I think peanuts, I can't do peanuts. Like I just think, ugh, I'm in some dodgy bar drinking something I don't really need to drink and someone's giving me a peanut and they've just had their fingers in it. And ugh. So peanuts, no go. But then down to the walnuts, which you just avoid at all costs. Would there be any disagreement with that hierarchy?
Yes.
Right.
Walnuts go way up the scale for me.
Nah.
Cashews pip macadamias
No.
at the top of the tree. Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, dear Lord.
Should we just call it now, Michael? Should we just say we give up?
At the bottom, I would have to concur probably the humble peanut.
Yeah.
Humble peanut. Maybe that's our safe word for
Very
today.
good.
Humble peanut. I like that. Is pistachio nuts, where do they fit in?
Love them. Near the top, just below cashews, I think.
Oh, really?
What the heck is wrong with you? Like, seriously.
Above macadamias? Surely not.
We are very patient. We are very tolerant. You have some very weird preferences when it comes to different things. But seriously, macadamias belong at the top of the tree.
I'd challenge that.
Walnuts belong at the end. No, walnuts are like this. No, walnuts.
Just
Hear me
refuse.
out. Walnuts are like the seafood extender of the nut world. They're just put in there to fill out a nut mix.
The seafood extender.
Seafood extender.
What's that?
Oh. Okay, we've established that it is. What was the something about peanuts? What was it?
Humble peanut.
Humble peanut.
Humble peanut will be our safe word. I just want to keep this going because this is telling
we?
a pretty good story. Yeah, we must. Favourite biscuits. What's at the top of the biscuit tree and what's at the bottom?
Oh, okay. So I have to be gluten-free. So let me go last because this gets pretty dull.
Now that's a teaser. That's a teaser. Stick around because it's going to get dull in a minute. Oh.
Big reveal.
Adam has worked in radio for years, and the way to make a listener stick around is to tell them that what we're going to be talking about in a minute gets pretty dull, so you're going to want to listen.
You think this is bad? Just hang around. It's getting worse.
Well, there's a new variety of biscuits out, right? And they are by Arnott's, and they are kind of similar in principle to kind of Tim Tams, but they're called, I think, Obsessions or something. Have you seen those ones?
Oh, I have seen those,
And they come in a box about the size of a Tim Tam kind of tray, but there is kind of 7 biscuits in there. Like they are premium biscuits and
Top notch.
They really are. And it's like about $5 or $6, I think, for those biscuits. So they are they are special
$1
occasion.
biscuit.
They are special occasion biscuits. Yeah.
Do you know, when I had COVID, my family had COVID at Namski, we got this knock on the door, and it was a delivery from Mickey and Sean and family. And they'd sent us the biggest cookie I've ever seen in my life. It
Awesome.
put it in the oven, heat it up just a little. Oh, smashing. Anyway.
That's what we do. It's basically biscuit diplomacy. You just
Is there a better
Hands
biscuit than
across the ocean.
Is there a better biscuit than Tim Tam? Is there a worse biscuit than Arrowroot? That's really all I'm asking. Okay. Somewhere in between are the Ice Vovos, the Monte Carlos, the Delta Creams.
something with nuts in it, I suppose, down the bottom.
Actually, ginger nut. I like that with a cup of tea at night.
Can I advocate for the shortbread?
You know what? If there is a biscuit that sums up Adam, it would be the shortbread. Go on, let's hear it. little bit dry,
With the chocolate on top or not?
sometimes crumbly.
just the plain shortbread. It is like a scientific marvel how much butter they can get in those things and still bind together. And sugar and flour. It is actually awesome the way they are created, and they just collapse on your tongue in all that fat, sugary goodness.
I'm sorry. Sorry, what was that, Adam? That will be the line that we take out of context.
Humble peanut.
Humble peanut. I agree. Look, can I do the unthinkable and steer us in the direction of some business?
All right.
Oh, look, I'd prefer not.
Well, I'm going to do it, and it seems appropriate because, and this is not because you are currently recording from a remote studio, Sean, on the Gold Coast, but I want to talk to you about leave policies. Which,
Excellent.
Get a bit touchy on this one.
Sounds very operational. I'll step into the zone.
this is a gripe, and it is not about you, Sean. It is not about you. It is not about Adam. It is not. It is about others. It's about other people. And this is my specialty. I like griping about things that don't actually affect me because that makes me feel really, really narky when I do that. But anyway, this was a story in the Financial Review. I didn't take it from LinkedIn. I didn't take it from news.com this week. So already the natural order is disrupted. But anyway, it is about the explosion in new types of leave in different workplaces. Obviously, there's a few types of leave that are essential. Obviously, you've got your annual leave, you've got your kind of 10 days of sick leave / kind of personal leave per year. I agree with Jennifer Westacott at the Business Council, who says that domestic violence leave should be a universal right, kind of those kind of things. Yes, let's put all of that to one side and say,
righto.
That's a given. There has been an explosion in other types of leave. And I think this is getting a little bit ridiculous. Life leave, which tends to cover everything, that's on top of your annual leave. And in some cases, it's like 2 weeks or more of life leave. Some businesses offer indefinite personal/life leave, kind of with no kind of reasons given. Pet leave, you can get a couple of days if your pet is sick.
Suddenly Adam's interested.
So if little Maggie is like coughing up her biscuits, you can stay home, Adam, for a couple of days. How on earth does this create a productive work environment? I get it. I get that businesses need to be creative at the moment in terms of trying to make themselves more attractive. It's a very competitive environment for jobs at the moment. You have to kind of pull out all the stops to try and get people to come and work. But is offering indefinite leave, and some places actually do that, where you can take as much annual leave as you want, is that actually going to lead? It's going to backfire, right? That if people because always there's going to be someone who takes more leave than they really should, and it's going to get other people's kind of noses out of joint, or you get people that just kind of take the piss out of the system, and one day a week they are taking a life leave day for a massage or for go to the movies or something. I think it's ridiculous, and I know that makes me sound old.
Yeah, you do. You are. I have a real life example here where it actually worked really well. So one of my brothers ran a business, and this was pre-COVID, so I think it's carried over since then. And he realised he was employing a lot of people basically in call centres. I mean, a bit more skilled than that, but broadly it was in call centres, and you kind of need skills, technical skills. But they were young. They'd go out, during the week, and they'd drink too much, or they'd have late nights or whatever. And he said you'd get the phone calls on a Friday morning from someone saying, "Oh, look, just not real well now." And they'd been out till 3 o'clock with half the other people in the crew and that. And eventually, he introduced "I Couldn't Be Asked" Day, which I actually thought was quite a good name. So he said, rather than you guys ringing up and making an excuse, just occasionally you can have a "I couldn't be asked" day, and just basically means that you've been out too late, you just can't make it into work. And he said absenteeism dropped remarkably because people actually respected it. And sometimes people rang and said, "I'm having an "I couldn't be asked" day," but all of a sudden people being sick just didn't happen. And he said it was a real mental change. And so total days lost in the quarter or half year or whatever, I mean, I can't quite remember the stats, declined markedly. And I thought that's pretty cool. I couldn't be asked day.
So are you saying that my gripe doesn't stack up when it's challenged by data?
Yeah.
Are you saying once again that my arguments are wafer thin?
And one anecdote does not make the summer.
Oh, Adam, you would be the one here to take his pet leave, because obviously we know that Maggie, your cavoodle, is very dear to you. And if Maggie was feeling poorly, Pawly.
Oh, very good.
Would you be taking a day off to mop her little brow?
No. Oh. No, not from work. I mean, I suppose if it fell under, if there was a leave policy and anyone in my family was sick, and I suppose there's circumstances in which Maggie would qualify, and I had to look after someone, then I'd take a day off as a proper leave day.
Would you take a day off to look after one of your kids, one of your boys?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, that's right. No, I just thought the way you were saying that, it sounded like you wouldn't do that. And I'm thinking,
no,
really?
No, absolutely.
So Maggie the dog could sort of...
Yeah, if she was seriously not well and needed care, then I'd take a leave day. But life leave...
A pet leave day or an annual leave day?
No, annual leave.
Oh, so you wouldn't take a pet leave?
So, but even if pet leave was there...
Oh, geez, I haven't even thought about it. I haven't even fathomed a role where pet leave would happen.
Well, I mean, this is our own business. We could make our own.
We could make our own pet leave rule.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care enough about our cats to take a leave day. I figure if they can't fend for themselves, they do not deserve a place in this household.
Yeah.
Would you two agree, well, first you, Michael, would you agree with having a pet leave policy for our company?
No.
Right. Sean?
No, I think it's ridiculous. Sorry.
No, I think it's ridiculous.
Well said. Could not have said that any better myself.
I agree with that. So I would, if I had to take a day of leave, that would come from my annual leave. But what do you have to do to qualify for life leave?
I like the idea of it. I think Fear and Greed / Safeword should introduce a life leave policy.
Right.
So if, for example, you're in Queensland on the Gold Coast,
Yeah.
pretending to be working but sort of having holidays, you could just have a life day.
It kind of feels like that would almost just sneak under the category of annual leave, almost. Kind of.
It's more of a life thing, though. Much more of a life decision, I think.
Technically, it bangs right in the middle
Yeah.
of annual leave.
Heading away from home, staying next to the beach, kind of feels like it could be annual leave. But look, I don't want to nitpick.
So what Jackie and I have discussed about where we are at the moment, we're not having a holiday.
You're working remotely.
We're having a break from life. So what it is we're still both working, but then at the end of the day, we go out for dinner. We don't do the washing. We don't worry about kids. There's just the two of us. None of the kids are up here. So it's like a life break, but not a holiday.
Yeah.
It's not a bad call.
But I mean, you don't need leave for that because you're still working and you're still meeting your commitments.
But if you guys want me to have a couple of days off, I'm prepared to take it. That's where I think where we're going here.
No. So in terms of life leave, I'm just not sure of the qualifications. But, oh dear.
Oh, throat clear. Throat clear. Throat clear. Put himself on mute. He did.
Muffled it. Oh, Adam.
Did I do it successfully or did I blast both of your headphones off?
You did not blast either of us.
Good. No overflow there. So the
humble peanut?
Yeah, I think a humble peanut. I think the intent was there. So it probably needed to be humble peanutted.
I don't know about all of this leave. I guess
I'd like to see a proud peanut.
But in terms of the leave side, obviously, I think a balance is good, right? So you both know about my quest for the 4-day working week, and it's my
bloody ridiculous.
One of my life quests, and that's to do a job in 4 days that could give you the other 3 off.
If you get to the end of your life and you have not achieved the 4-day that quest, and you haven't succeeded in forcing the Australian government to introduce a flat tax and to abolish kind of fringe benefits tax and various other things, and to abolish a whole level of government. Namely, I think the state government. I think you're happy for local government to continue and for the federal system.
Federal, state, councils.
If you do not achieve these things, will you feel like your life has not been fulfilling?
Worthwhile?
Yes, I will.
Really?
I will not feel that I've accomplished all that I could.
Quite a benchmark, that one.
Goodness me.
So the 4-day working week.
There's some lofty goals.
I just want my kids to be okay.
Are you wary about running out of time?
Never.
Okay, all right.
Never give up. So the leave thing is quite good, and I'm wondering how it could combine with the 4-day working week. But I think to your point, Michael, the real issue of implementing a leave policy like this is how fair is it, and how equitably is it used?
Yep.
And that comes down to people's behaviours. So if you had, I like the I can't be asked day. That is very good because it's dead honest, right? You go, nah. And then people say that, or they have to not say that, right? But they've got to be honest, so they'll decide whether or not to go to work or even make different decisions the night before. But in this instance...
Sorry, when have you been out the night before and suddenly made a sensible decision about work the next day?
Sometimes.
When you're in your 20s. I get it when you're a bit older, when you've got kids.
Yeah.
But prior to that, never in my 20s did I go out on a Thursday night
and think to myself, showed up, didn't you?
I must be careful. Well, yeah, certainly. Yeah. But, I must be careful because I've got to work tomorrow.
Right. But you'd still, you'd show up. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Is do you show up under these policies or not? But it gets really interesting when you apply that to different sized businesses and how to compete.
I mean, you can't do it in a small business.
Well... It's difficult, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, in theory you can.
We're a small business, and if we were to have that, there is still work to be done.
Yeah.
But if any one of us was, I don't think any of us have had a sick day in 2.5 years that I'm aware of.
No.
But if something happened to one of us or, a family member or something, we would manage without that person.
Fill the gap.
Doesn't matter which one of us it is.
No, that's true. But I think that rests on the commitment we have to the company and to each other, which is to say...
I'm a company man, Adamski. What about you? I'm a fear and greed man through and through.
But it's like your code of behaviour. If you upheld it, that's what we would do, I think, is cover the gaps. If you two felt that, I wasn't really sick and I didn't show up, that could be an awfully corruptive influence.
And let's be honest, Mickey T, there's been a few broadcasts where, where's Adam? Don't know. No, me neither. I do know he was going out for lunch, often on a Friday afternoon.
Client development.
Adamski does, business development. Yeah, right.
And then you don't hear from him until kind of Sunday afternoon. It's just
radio silence.
I think one day this week we were all expecting to talk at, I think it was in the afternoon, and Michael and I are chatting away, and about, I reckon 20 minutes later, we got this message. Oh, sorry, in the rain, can't travel, or something along those lines. It made no sense.
And we had to remind Adam that we don't actually have an office that he needed to travel to. That excuse might have worked in the old days, but no.
The old phone next to the ear. Yeah, thought about that one? Hey. That was an I can't be asked excuse for mine. The Swans weren't even playing because I'd played, I think, on the Friday night. So I was very thrown.
They were indeed.
All right, so we all agree then that life leave is just a way to enable millennials to rot the system.
No, we're not all agreed. We're not all agreed. I don't know enough about it, Michael. Of course I need more data.
See, that's the difference between you, Adam, and Michael and I. We will crap on about anything, anytime, sounding and feeling extremely knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. You'll wait for the data.
Yep. Yeah. No. The whole point of this podcast is to form an opinion very, very quickly based on very little information.
Okay. Jump to conclusions podcast.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Carry on.
No, I was just going to move the topic a bit because it has been school holidays and some states, Queensland went back over the last few days. New South Wales goes back. So Victoria are back. New South Wales goes back shortly. School kids, they've been away. And I've just been watching the world go by a little bit. We've had some really major global events recently. I mean, Boris Johnson, obviously in the UK, the tragedy of Shinzo Abe. For a few months now, we've had the Donald Trump issue. We've had Roe v. Wade, a Supreme Court judgment in the US, which is a really, really important story. On top of that, right, you have this Ukrainian crisis, energy crisis. You're filling up your car. You're paying more for petrol. You're paying more for electricity bills. Certainly interest rates are on the rise. On top of that, you've had COVID for 2.5 years, which we're all really sick of. I reckon people are just beaten down. My point about the holidays, I'm obviously in the Gold Coast, and I just think people are just sort of over it all.
Are you sensing it there, Sean?
Oh, I don't know if I'm really sensing it. I mean, talking about leave, because I was in Hawaii recently and I actually sensed it there. I just thought people are really sick of all this crap going on, and obviously the Donald Trump stuff plays bigger there than here. But there's just so much going on, and I reckon people are just over it. And it's not like there's an easy way out of this. We're going to hit a recession maybe. A petrol price is going to come down next week. Nah. Our interest rates, mortgage costs going to rise. Yep. What do you do? Like, how do you sort of escape this
ennui?
Ennui? I don't even know what that is. I like it though. How do you escape this
malaise?
Ennui? Malaise. It's like a whirlpool. It just keeps going and you can't get out.
A maelstrom.
A maelstrom. That is exactly right.
Which is a
Michael.
word, of course, that you used in the last week or so, Sean, in our main Fear and Greed podcast, and it burst forth from you, without any kind of warning, and
another word. I didn't really know what it meant. Anyway, I've given some thought to how to get out of this maelstrom that I'm in at the moment. And I'd like your thoughts. I mean, a couple for me. I actually think I should do yoga / Pilates. Pilates is too hard, I reckon. Yoga, meditation, that sort of stuff. I've never
Adam
bought
could
into
take
it.
you through a few exercises. He busts out the Lululemon stretch pants.
He tends to fall over though.
Yeah. And hey, maybe we could start a fear and greed kind of relaxation class.
Yeah, mate, that's...
And Adam could just
What, soothingly talk through it?
stretch for us. And you could do whale noises. Well, that was pretty good.
That was very good, Michael.
Thank you. Never attempted that before.
I think you're fibbing. That's looked like a practice technique to me.
No.
I know I brought this topic up, but I'm just taking a little time out on it. Adamski, don't you think it'd be good if
Yes, Sean.
Michael demonstrated to the listeners one of those skills he's got? Yes. And in fact, he's done it on the country's biggest morning radio show. He did it once and wasn't asked back. But let's just park that. I would like to hear Michael, the avant-garde whistler. Whistler.
Nope.
Come on, don't look at me like that.
Humble
He's giving that a
peanuts.
hard no.
Humble peanuts. I am safe wording this. I swore after in 2012 when
10 years.
when we were
You've held strong to that, Michael.
it is
10
almost
years.
It is almost a decade to the day because it was during the London Olympics broadcast.
Oh,
and we were covering the marathon, which is obviously a very long event, and there was time to fill, and so I was invited on air very briefly to whistle, and I did it, and I started going, okay, and that was obviously the biggest stage I'd ever had to whistle on, because this was going out to most
networked around the country.
Yeah, a lot of people. And so I got kind of 15 seconds in, and then all of a sudden I couldn't go on. And I
froze.
I didn't freeze. I went dry. And that was the problem. That's what I said. I can't go on. I've gone dry. And you have never heard the host go to a commercial break faster. And I was removed from the studio and I wasn't allowed back on. So I've learnt my lesson. Because I use those words, I can't go on. I've gone dry. Out.
We only want 4 or 5 minutes of whistling. Not much. No, we'll give it, look, seriously, 15 seconds. That's all we want. 10 seconds.
No, humble peanuts. I am opting out of this because I'm not feeling sufficiently moist. No, that's not me, just for the record. I don't know at what point we have to actually get a license for this when you start doing a recognisable song, although that was barely recognisable.
What was that song? Just out of interest, did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it's the girl from Ipanema.
Ah, beautiful. Yes, the girl from Ipanema.
Astrid Gilberto, probably the most famous version of that.
But anyway, we digress, and we've gone into a place
Adamski.
that I don't think we need to spend any more time on.
But what about the Malays, Michael? How are you going to help us out of the maelstrom?
Oh, is it my job to say? I
Yes.
just can't.
Take the
I can't
responsibility.
keep track
Michael.
of all the roles I have here. The entertainment, the difference.
has its limits.
How do you, Michael, you have a very busy life. So you work in Fear and Greed. You've got 2 young kids. Your partner works odd hours. So often, like, you're not 9 to 5 jobs, either of you. You have a lot of other interests, which I'm sure we'll go into at some point in the future, and very successful interests. How do you relax?
I
bet you don't. Seriously.
don't know, actually. No, but all those things are relaxing anyway.
I know, but how do you just take time out for yourself?
You know what we've started watching lately? Do you remember? And I know that every time I recommend something that's a few years old. Do you remember the TV show Modern Family?
Yes, I was watching it last night, believe it or not.
Isn't that good? We've just gotten back into that one, kind of picking it up at about season 6 or so, which is where we kind of left off about 5 years ago. And we watch an episode of that every night. And that's like 20 minutes, which is about all I can do before I fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
And then, and that to me is very, very relaxing. And God, that makes me sound boring. That makes me sound, well, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
No, humble peanuts.
Oh, we've done it again. Whistling,
He's
Modern
just sold
Family.
the dummy.
He's a bit antsy today.
No, I've just actually self-peanutted. because I was about to say something that was not very complimentary to one of the three of us. And I thought, you know what? I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm not going to be mean to Adam anymore.
Yeah, without knowing who, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, good. Okay.
So Modern Family for 20 minutes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a way to wind down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bit inane TV. Like, it's not challenging, but it's very entertaining. Like,
it's fun. It's
charming.
light. It's charming. It's enjoyable. Yeah. Yeah.
Dansky, how do you relax?
Oh.
Spreadsheet.
What?
Get a new application
Good
for
multi-tab spreadsheet will do it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cross-referencing.
Whoa. Baby.
No.
It's the only time his standing desk gets put in a seated position.
Rarely.
Humble peanut. I don't know where we're going there. I don't want to go there.
Well, the seated position can happen. I'll show you.
He's moved away from the microphone to demonstrate that he sits on a giant Swiss ball. Yes.
I love the way that
occasionally
Adam talks and then moves. You talked about this the last couple of weeks, Michael. Adam will be talking and gets so excited about what he's doing, he moves around and away, but just keeps talking. So, it suddenly goes in and out of the camera.
It's authentic.
And it's coming back now.
Do you think, Sean, that Adam is looking uncomfortable today? And it is because I think he is concentrating so hard on not clearing his throat. He is focused so much on it. It is just such a habit for him. And he's only done it that once. And normally we'd be up to about 40 or 50 by now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
This is devastating.
I like.
Anyway, so, Sean, the malaise, the maelstrom. So I watch Arrested Development occasionally.
I can never get into it.
Do you?
Okay, give it a go. God, it's funny. Anyway.
So Arrested Development. Okay.
Arrested Development. But in terms of relaxation, it's the things you do every day, isn't it? So I think in part it is a really difficult time. And so one of the things I was going to talk to you both about today is actually the speed of data.
This is that where he teased early on. Stick around, guys. It's going to get pretty dull.
Really dull.
Sorry. Now, I'm not sorry to have interrupted. Adam, please go on. Speed of data. Oh, can I just say also another interruption? You know how we have, Sean, our notes that we prepare where we each nominate a couple of topics, and usually I'll do kind of 2 points that I want to talk about. So today was leave policies and one other one that we won't get time for. And you had a couple like talking about the general kind of state of the world. And normally then Adam fills 2 or 3 pages with detailed notes, research.
I'm looking at them now.
Look at it. And could you read what's under Adam's name in the document, please, Sean?
Certainly. Adam, potential topics underline. First dot point.
Nothing.
That's it. Nothing.
There's nothing there.
Zippo.
So, Adam, you have either come unprepared for this show
Again.
or you are keeping things from us, which is not a good way to run a business.
It's the
Full
latter.
transparency, please.
It's the latter, and there is a reason. And the reason is...
Because you knew that if you put speed of data on there, we'd veto it?
That's right.
No,
We would
the
never
reason
allow the
in
conversation
general
to get there.
is that you both have given me feedback from time to time that I'm a bit too comprehensive. And so I thought I would be somewhat mysterious today.
It's not really a natural state for you, is it?
I know.
No, I don't think Adam's a
I'm
mysterious
embracing the
person.
discomfort. Speed of data. So my point being, particularly around the Reserve Bank and how it had such a view for some time that it wasn't increasing rates, and then
That's Sean again.
then it will. Then it has. It's described its own analysis as embarrassing, and then it's owned it, right? It's got on with it. But I am really hopeful that we will avoid a recession. Now, whether we do or we don't is probably not the point. There's lots to worry about. There always is. But the only way through it, I think, look at the data and have a go anyway, because I really think that's all there is to it. So the way I relax is to channel that energy, that worry, into doing something positive.
Can I just describe the look on Sean's face right now? It is perplexed. It is mildly amused.
I
It's
think there's
bemused.
disdain in it more than amusement.
Bewilderment. No, I'm trying to work out what we're talking about.
Oh, me too. I'm like, I think we're going somewhere, but
Speed of data,
it's still a mystery.
relaxation.
So you started, Sean, with the malaise, the maelstrom that we're all worried about. And I am still connecting to that topic, funnily enough, Sean. The topic
Albeit
that you registered.
obscurely.
Well, I think, no, the point is, what do? You said do you take on yoga? Do you meditate? Yeah, do all those things.
So what do? You think about the speed of data.
I think about
how you relax?
how quickly can we get out of it.
So that's how you
Just use the information.
that's how you relax. How quickly
Channel the
to
energy.
relax. I think about how quickly can we get out of the maelstrom.
Yeah. There's always a path through. Get to it.
Your family are very, very lucky, Adam. Very, very lucky people.
Figure it out.
Can I tell you something that Adam has confessed to me once that he uses to relax?
Oh, geez. Now, look, I know I've given you an abundance of material over time, Michael. So
And you
this,
can prepare the humble peanuts if you need to. No, but sometimes when Adam can't sleep late at night because there's so many thrilling things racing through his mind, apparently the show that he used to watch, and I don't know whether he still does, to relax late at night, he might be lying there in bed watching this on his phone, is The Boys. Have you ever seen this, Sean? I think it's on Amazon Prime. It is the most extraordinarily violent. It is gory. It is fantastic.
very provocative.
Yeah, it is very kind of sexually inappropriate. It's got like a lot of comedy elements to it, but it is not the kind of thing that you would watch to help put you to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're suffering from insomnia. Yet Adam does it, and doesn't that give you a unique insight into what is happening inside Adam's head?
The conundrum that is Adam Lang.
That to relax, he thinks about how do we get out of the maelstrom confronting the world. To put himself to sleep, he watches kind of violent comedic gore.
Yes. Team SEAL, Terminal List, Game of Thrones. So relaxing. Takes you to another world.
You are a unique character.
It's so involved that it takes you away.
You are a unique character. And we don't necessarily say that in a positive manner either. We're just saying
I don't think you're saying it in a positive manner at all.
Sean, I think you're a unique character as well.
Thank you. And Michael, you are a quirky, unique character.
Yeah, look, and together it makes for a unique cake with no nuts.
What a beautiful way to wrap up the show, to come back to Jimmy's description of all of us individually being very good, but together making just a wonderful nut-free, gluten-free cake.
Completely nutless.
Tasteless also, I dare say.
Beige.
Okay, I think that is it for a beige cake. I like that. That is it for the day. Thank you for listening to Safe Word by Fear and Greed. Mickey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sean.
Adamski, thank you. I think you got off a bit more lightly today.
You're kidding.
No, I think you did the damage to yourself today, Adam. Well, we didn't need to say anything. We just had to
Self-inflicted.
sit back and watch you battle your urge to clear your
Inner
throat,
demons.
and just the rest just kind of spewed out.
Flowed from there, even without notes. I winged it in my head.
And how did that go?
Debatable, I think. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Michael.
That was Safe Word by Fear and Greed. If you want to know whether Adam does better next week, or Michael, or myself, really, for that matter, tune in again next Thursday. That's when we come out every Thursday. Don't forget to hit follow on Safe Word so you get a new episode every week. Tell your friends, your family, and your colleagues. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.